Today, we are honored to have Dr. Wang Juntao with us. Dr. Wang is a renowned Chinese democracy activist and political scholar. Born in Beijing in 1958, he was an organizer and participant in both the Democracy Wall movement and the 1989 Tiananmen Square student movement. After going into exile in the United States in 1994, Dr. Wang has dedicated himself to the cause of democracy and human rights in China. He has shared many important views on China-U.S. relations and social injustice and is one of the most influential public intellectuals in the global Chinese community. In this conversation, we will be discussing topics such as the clash of civilizations, China-U.S. relations, freedom and human rights, youth development, and social justice with Dr. Wang. How would you say you interpret Huntington's clash of civilizations theory?
I think the Huntington, that kind of theory is raised as an answer to the question after, the Cold War,
Yeah.
what struggle or conflict will dominate the human world.
Yeah.
And there are two kind of books that, the one is about, it's from also I think it's a Harvard professor and read a book about the end of the history. He said, as ideological conflict end, it's a Cold War end, then the ideological, all the human rights, democracy, and the constitutional, check and those kind of political theory and institution will dominate the human trend. So, but now when we review the history after the book, we will see there are two kind of challenge. The first kind of challenge is the people, political theorists found the major conflict in human world is not between civilization, but within civilization. For example, the Arab, they predict, I think only September 11 incident marked the conflict between,
Yeah.
civilization, but all other conflict happened within the civilization. For example, Ukraine war, the Russia invade Ukraine, and also you see a lot of conflict in the Muslim world. Also there, the U.S. still the world police. Mostly they do not control the conflict between civilization. It's within the civilization. So it's one challenge. The other challenge is ideological conflict, not despair. When you see the China race, raise other kind of challenge to U.S. As two presidents said, it's the biggest challenge in U.S. history. China challenge, and China comes from different civilization, but for the American people, mostly concerned about ideological conflict. They are socialism, they are authoritarianism. So that kind of challenge means the Cold War does not, Cold War ended, but ideological conflict still there. And I think 10 years ago, even in the U.S., more and more the economists and political scientists talk about Beijing consensus to challenge Washington consensus, and also talk about China miracle, the economic development. So it's a two kind of challenge. From first when the Huntington published his book, I did disagree with him, and but I focused to the first. I said, as I saw at the time, major conflict happened within the civilization, not between civilization. But now when we see the China's rise and its rise, makes a challenge to the world, to the U.S., to the democracy country, and you will see the ideological conflict still continue there.
So then, in Huntington's framework, which civilizations does China and the U.S. specifically represent, and how does this difference impact their relationship?
The Huntington book is not a very good book because his theoretical text is not about describe civilization, but a lot of other theories, political theories, and also some kind of the people research about the social science. They raise the same question and they have done a lot of research about the difference between two countries, between two civilizations. But from the perspective of civilization, I don't think a conflict is the major problem. Actually, they merge each other, they influence each other. Mostly it's positive. For example, when the Chinese eat the McDonald and there also American drama, American film is very popular in China, right?
Yeah.
Also, the Chinese food and the Chinese, those kind of civilization, they were also welcomed by American people. So only I think the weapon and the war, they don't like each other, but most of element of the civilization, they like each other, they learn from each other. I think it's a major trend.
Mm-hmm.